Hello all and welcome to tonight's Torah portion. Before I get started, I must say our customary blessing. Blessed art thou, Adonai Elohim, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments, commanded us to engross ourselves with the words of Torah. Please, Adonai Elohim, sweeten the words of your Torah in our mouths and in the mouths of all your people Israel. May we and our offspring, the offspring of your people, the house of Israel. May we all together know your name and study your Torah for sake fulfilling your desire. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to his people Israel. Blessed are you, Adonai Elohim, King of the universe, who chose us from all the nations and gave us the Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of the Torah. May Adonai bless you and keep watch over you. May Adonai make his presence to enlighten you, may be kind to you. May Adonai bestow favor on you and grant you peace. We have two reads today. 1 Kings 7:13. And 2 Kings, but I don't remember that one. Here's the first one. And King Solomon sent and brought Hiram from Tyre. And he was the son of a widow in the tribe of Naphtali. And his father was a man of Tyre, and worked in bronze. And he was full of wisdom, understanding, and skill for making any work in bronze. He came to King Solomon and did all his work. He cast 2 pillars of bronze. 18 cubits was the height of one pillar, and a line of 12 cubits measured its circumference. It was hollow, and its thickness was 4 fingers. The second pillar was the same. He also made 2 capitals of cast bronze and set on the top of the pillars. The height of the one capital was 5 cubits, and the height of the other capital was 5 cubits. There were lattices of checkerwork with wreaths of chain work for the capitals on top of the pillars, a lattice for the one capital and a lattice for the other capital. Likewise he made pomegranates in 2 rows around the one lattice work to cover up the capital that was on top of the pillar, and he did the same for the other capital. Now the capitals that were on top of the pillars in the vestibule were of lily work, 4 cubits. The capitals were on top of 2 pillars and also above the rounded projection which was beside the lattice work. There were 200 pomegranates in 2 rows all around. And so the other capital. He set up the pillars in the vestibule of the temple. He set up a pillar on the south and called its name Jachin. And he set up the pillar on the north and called its name Boaz. And on the tops of the pillars was lily work. Thus the work of the pillars was finished. Then he made a sea of cast metal. It was round, 10 cubits from brim to brim, and 5 cubits high. And a line of 30 cubits measured its circumference. Under its brim were gourds, for 10 cubits, compassing the sea all around. The gourds were in 2 rows, cast with it when it was cast. It stood on 12 oxen, 3 facing north, 3 facing west, 3 facing south, and 3 facing east. The sea was set on them, and all their rear parts were inward. Its thickness was a hand's breadth, and its brim was made of a brim of a cup, like a flower of a lily. It held 2,000 baths. He also made the 10 stands of bronze. Each stand was 4 cubits long, 4 cubits wide, and 3 cubits high. This was the construction of the stands, that they had panels, and the panels were set in frames, and on the panels that were set on the frames were lions, oxen, cherubim. On the frames, both above and below the lions and oxen, there were wreaths of beveled work. Moreover, each stand had 4 bronze wheels and axles of bronze, and at the 4 corners were supports for a basin. The supports were cast with wreaths on the side of each. Its opening was within a crown that projected upward 1 cubit. Its opening was round as a pedestal is made, 1.5 cubits deep. At its opening there were carvings, and its panels were square, not round. And the 4 wheels were underneath the panels. The axles of the wheels were of one piece with the stands, and the height of a wheel was 1.5 cubits. The wheels were made like a chariot wheel. Their axles, their rims, their spokes, and their hubs were all cast. There were 4 supports at the 4 corners of each stand. The supports were of one piece with the stands, and on the top of the stand there was a round band 0.5 cubit high, and on the top of the stand it stays, and its panels were of one piece with it, and on the surface of it stays, and on its panels he carved cherubim, lions, and palm trees, according to the space of each, with wreaths all around. After this manner he made the 10 stands. All of them were cast alike, of the same measure, in the same form. He made 10 basins of bronze. Each basin held 40 baths. Each basin measured 4 cubits. And there was a basin for each of the 10 stands. And he set the stands, 5 on the south side of the house, and 5 on the north side of the house. And he set the sea at the southeast corner of the house. Hiram also made the pots, the shovels, and the basins. So Hiram finished all the work that he did for King Solomon on the house of Yahweh. The 2 pillars, the 2 bowls of the capitals were on top of the pillars, and the 2 lattice works to cover the 2 bowls of the capitals that were on top of the pillars. And the 400 pomegranates for the 2 lattice works, 2 rows of pomegranates for each lattice work, to cover the 2 bowls of the capitals that were on top of the pillars. The 10 stands and the 10 basins on the stands, and the 1 sea, and the 12 oxen underneath the sea. Now the pots, the shovels, the basins, and all these vessels in the house of Yahweh, which Hiram made for King Solomon, were of burnished bronze. In the plain of the Jordan the king cast them, in the clay between Succoth and Zarethan. And Solomon left the vessels unweighed, because there were so many of them. The weight of the bronze was not ascertained. So Solomon made all the vessels that were in the house of Yahweh, the golden altar and the golden table for the bread of the presence, the lampstand of pure gold, 5 on the south side and 5 on the north, before the inner sanctuary, the flowers, the lamps, and the tongs of gold, the cups, snuffers, basins, dishes, and incense, and fire pans of pure gold, and the sockets of gold for the doors of the innermost part of the house, the most holy place, and for the doors of the nave of the temple. Thus all the work that King Solomon did on the house of Yahweh was finished. And Solomon brought all the things that David his father had dedicated, the silver, the gold, and the vessels, and stored them in the treasuries of the house of Yahweh. 2 Kings 11:17 through 12:16. And Jehoiada made a covenant between Yahweh and the king and the people, that they should be Yahweh's people, and also between the king and the people. Then all the people of the land went to the house of Baal and tore down his altars and his images. They broke in pieces, and they killed Mattan, the priest of Baal, before the altars. And the priests posted watchmen over the house of Yahweh. And he took the captains, the Curites, and the guards, and all the people of the land, and they brought the king down from the house of Yahweh, marching through the gate of the guards to the king's house. And he took his seat at the throne of the kings. So all the people of the land rejoiced. And the city was quiet after Athaliah had been put to death with the sword at the king's house. Jehosh was 7 years old when he began to reign. In the 7th year of Jehosh began to reign. And he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Zebiah in Beersheba. And Jehosh did what was right in the eyes of the Lord all his days, because Jehoiada the priest instructed him. Nevertheless, the high places were not taken away. The people continued to sacrifice and make offerings on the high place. Jehoash said to the priests, all the money and the holy things that is brought into the house of the Lord, the money for which each man is assessed, the money from the assessment of persons, that the money that a man's heart prompts him to bring into the house of the Lord, let the priests take, each from his donor. And let them repair the house wherever any need of repairs is discovered. But by the 23rd year of King Jehoash, the priests had made no repairs on the house. Therefore King Jehoash summoned Jehoiada the priests and all the other priests, and said to them, why are you not repairing the house? Now therefore take no more money from your donors, for I handed over for the repair of the house. The priests agreed that they should take no more money from the people, and that they should not repair the house. And Jehoiada the priest took a chest and bored a hole in the lid of it, and set it beside the altar on the right side, as one entered the house of the Lord. And the priests who guarded the threshold put in it all the money that was brought into the house of Yahweh. And whenever they saw that there was much money in the chests, the king's secretary and the high priest came up and bagged and counted the money that was found in the house of Yahweh. Then they would give the money that was weighed out into the hands of the workmen who had the oversight of the house of Yahweh, and they paid it out to the carpenters and the builders who worked on the house of Yahweh, and to the masons and the stone cutters, as well as to buy timber and quarried stone for making repairs on the house of Yahweh, for any outlay for the repairs of the house. But there were not made for the house of Yahweh basins of silver, snuffer bowls, trumpets, or any other vessels of gold or of silver from the house that was brought into the house of Yahweh, for that was given to the workmen who were repairing the house of Yahweh with it. And they did not ask for an accounting from the men into whose hands they delivered the money to pay out to the workmen, for they dealt honestly. The money was from the guilt offerings, and the money for the sin offerings was not brought into the house of the Lord. It belonged to the priest. Blessed art thou, Adonai Eloheinu, King of the universe, who gave us the Torah of truth and set everlasting life in our midst. Blessed art thou, Adonai, giver of the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natah lanu Torah emet v'yishielon, natah betekenu, Baruch atah Adonai natin Torah.